Hi, welcome to the channel. A couple of years ago I made this, which is basically just drainage pipe. It's a hydroponic system. I'm at my allotment, I've got no electricity, so it's running off a solar panel, a car battery and a 12 volt digital timer, 12 volt pump. Now that tank contains the nutrient solution. The timer's set to switch on every hour for like 5 minutes or something like that, and it just pumps liquid into the top pipe. The pipe obviously drains into the lower pipe, runs back along and drains back into the tank. Now that drain pipe has just stood up a little bit inside, so the tube always retains maybe 3/8 to half an inch of water, 10 to 12 mil of water in the bottom, and each of the pots is in a little they call it a net basket, and there's a wick in there which is in the constantly in the sort of water at the bottom, and there's like little clay pebbles around the plants. So I made this a couple of years ago. I've just put new plants in. The top ones are I bought as a plug plant. The bottom ones I bought as what they call bare rooted plants. So they've all sort of woken up kind of thing now. Now inside the shed there's a 12 volt timer, there's a solar charge controller, and there's a little solar panel just on like a bit of a flap above the entrance into the shed. I'm going to replace the solar panel because a lot of these solar panels on the various auction sites and online and things, they sort of lie to you really about what the capabilities are. But I have got a much better sort of bigger one that I'm going to be mounting, because that pipe you see down there is part of a system I'm building in my greenhouse currently for tomatoes. So I know the principle works. So the one in the greenhouse though, it'll employ two pumps, because there'll be one pumping it into the pipe, but as the pipe's really low down you're not going to get a natural sort of drain to recirculate. So there'll be a small sort of sump and a lift pipe then that'll pump the liquid back up into the holding tank, and again it'll just be like two digital timers. So hopefully the panel I've got is rated at 100 watts, and I just need to get a better car battery or a leisure battery, so both systems will work, and it should be good to go. So I'm still building the one in the greenhouse, but I thought I'd open with this to show you that this actually works. I mean, even if you've got a concrete backyard, if you've got a wall that catches sun for part of the day, you could build this quite easily and grow stuff. I've grown like cos lettuce type things grow really well in this, and the beauty is being up there and suspended off the wall, you don't really get any bugs on it, you won't get any slugs on it or anything. And the likes of cos lettuce, if literally 3 plants lasted me all summer, because the stuff is what they call cut and come again, and basically you just peel a few outer leaves off each plant each time you want some lettuce, and it doesn't take much to soon have a bag of lettuce for a couple of meals. And it's constantly growing all summer, so you don't need to just cut the lettuce head off and that's it. You just harvest like a few outer leaves off each plant. Obviously the bigger your family, the more plants you need, but it does work. And I have, if you follow my channel, you know I sort of have arthritis and stuff in my knees. I can't like kneel down and stuff, so I'm growing stuff above ground as best I can, and this solution works really well. So I'm going to be just sort of cataloguing the sort of build process and stuff on the one in the greenhouse as I go, but this is like the intro to it. So cheers for watching, and I'll carry on with it as I can. I'll head into the greenhouse now, and I'll show you how I've started the new build in there. Not that the type of greenhouse matters, but this is an aluminium, what they call a Dutch light type greenhouse. The sides lean in, so they're better for gathering lower winter light kind of thing, or they get light earlier in the year, might be a better description. It's a weird layout though, it's 8 foot wide but 6 foot long. So it works quite well because it gives you quite a bit of space inside, and I normally sort of grow around the perimeter. I've got like a couple of pallets here as a bench. I've already got one one tomato already. I've got some more at home, and I potted this up on Sunday, and already it's throwing roots out the sides. And obviously they're the bit of wick. Now, hydroponic in its simplest form basically means automated watering. So on top of the bench here at the back, I intend to have a drum with the nutrient solution in. I've got some electronic components at home I need to sort of wire up and build up a system. It'll pump over the top of the door into the end here. I'm going to put a cucumber by this trellis, and then I don't know, maybe 4 tomatoes along the short side, 6 along the back, a couple down the back. Then at this end there'll be like a little sump and a second pump that'll kick in and lift the nutrient back into the tank. And I've got some like float switches to put on it as well, so it should control itself. So I just cut the first pipe, the front bit's off cut at the minute, but that'll be along the back here with another elbow, a short piece of pipe level with the edge of the door. Once I've kind of got it all cut to length, I'll before I push it all together, I'll drill a series of holes to take the basket, the little net pots, deburr all, wash all the sort of plastic swarf out, and then I'll set the system running. Obviously it's easy to start with to just pour water in through one of the holes with a watering can until I get it all running, so I can make a start. That's a cucumber, and again that one's chucking loads of roots out the side. What they actually do in practice when they're inside the pipe, the roots will also reach down into the water at the bottom of the pipe. So these are some, I got a few too many. These are some strawberries, and obviously they've been bare rooted. Sometimes these have been quite successful, but quite often you lose a few anyway. So these are literally, all the tomato and the cucumber have a little bit of compost around the root ball. These being bare rooted, the roots were literally straight in amongst the clay pebbles. But they're all happily awake and growing nicely. So this is the start of it anyway. I've got another length of pipe down there to go across the back, and then between the 2 offcuts I've got enough to fill in the other pieces. I'm going to put like a T-piece at the very end vertically to act like a sump. So I shall bring you along the build as I go, but this is just my initial start to it. Cheers for watching, I'll bring you back next time. So I'm laying out the tube on the inside of the greenhouse just so I can get a measure. That bit is just the offcut from the first cut, that won't be staying in there, but just allow me to get the elbows set roughly where I want them so I can cut another piece of pipe. So I'm going to do that now. I'll be the pipe at the start. I'll have put a blank end on there, and the liquid will feed in at this point. I might put 1 or 2 holes in there for a couple of cucumbers side by side. That pipe along the back probably needs a couple of inches trimming off it yet, 50mm. As obviously I don't want it right against the polycarbonate. It needs to be forward a bit to allow the leaves and that to grow out the back. That elbow will be staying in that end now on that joint there. When I bought the pipe I didn't realise it would be what they call single socket pipe, so it has one fitting built in, as I bought double socketed elbows, so I ended up getting a couple of extra elbows which are single socket, as I didn't want to waste the built-in one. So that one is driven in there all the way. I'll leave that, but that back section is just temporarily pushed in just to hold the shape. So that'll be coming out. That is the front pipe, or the one nearest me is the one that's going in there with a socket on again. That probably is gonna need maybe 3 or 4 inches taking off it yet. I just cut it a little bit big so I could utilise the offcut. and the one at the back I'll be trimming down to make the piece that goes across the back. Now the second one of those sockets I bought was faulty. I'm going to have to take that back on Friday and switch it out, so kind of stuck for the minute now. Until I've kind of got that set to the right length, I can't cut the piece for this side. That's hard to push these in and out, as last time I did it I obviously just used straight pieces of pipe. So I think once they go together they're not designed to come apart really, or not easily. So you can get a kind of grease called food lube, which is for use on food processing equipment. So I might see if I can get a little bit of food lube just to lubricate the seals. It'll just make assembly so much easier, as it'll be hard to push it all together inside here, and I can't do that until I've drilled all the holes really, because obviously the discs, I'm going to use a hole saw to drill the holes for the pots, and all the discs and swarf falls inside, so really need to be able to run it through with a hose pipe or something, wash all the debris out, and obviously I need to deburr the holes. So I'll make it so it's a comfortable fit kind of thing, and then I'll mark out where I want to put all the holes. I'm not going to use canes to grow them up. I think I'm just going to literally grow them up as string, and I've got overhead canes which are sort of 2 foot in, if you like, from the base, so the plants will all lean in on a taper, so the fruit should hang forward. That's my plan. I'll stick another cane across the gap at the back, and then but I'll leave some string on, so I can, when they're grown professionally hydroponically, they grow them up like a long string or a tape, but an indeterminate tomato will just keep growing at the top, so you could literally plant one at one corner and grow it at 30 degrees and wrap it around the greenhouse like a coil if you wanted to. Obviously your growing season probably isn't long enough to do that, but what I'll do, instead of just limiting them to 3 or 4 trusses, when the bottom ones have ripened, because typically on an indeterminate they ripen from the bottom first, what the commercial people do, they just literally fold the stem and just pack it down, so they let a bit of string out and literally lower the stem down as they fold the bottom bit up, and the plant just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you know, they'd probably be about 12, 15, 20 foot long at the end of the growing season. So I might try and do that, as I always end up with a load of tomatoes growing at ceiling height, and this way they're more accessible. So I'm a bit stuck now till I get that other elbow. I might try and cut that down to a bit near what the size is and just guess what that's going to be, but I think I'd rather wait till I get the elbow to finish that, as if I cut it short it means either trying to joint it or get another piece of pipe. I don't really want to have to buy the stuff twice. So just notice there's a few little snails and things hiding in here waiting for something to eat. With any luck the temperature in here will cook them before there's any food ready for them. Threw a couple outside yesterday. Anyway, so that's the progress so far. I need to make some proper bases. I think that's a reasonable height for it, so I can I've got some clips, so I'll make some bases to stand it all off about the same height. It needs to be fairly level for the water to flow, or have a very slight downhill taper to the end. Water needs literally 1 millimetre per metre to fall away. So I don't know what that is in imperial. Just over a 32nd of an inch per 3 foot 3 inches, I guess, for water to drain. But I mean, I don't necessarily need the pipe to clear out, and you know, it'll be better if it holds a little bit of water for the wicks and the root to carry on absorbing moisture in between the water timings. Good afternoon, I'm back in my allotment greenhouse carrying on with the hydroponic build. I've got the replacement elbow which I've seated in the end of the pipe there. I got some, it's like a food grade grease. Tubes look a lot bigger on online, but you just need a smear around the seal, and it's a silicone grease. It's food safe apparently, so it should be okay on the seals. It certainly makes it a lot easier seating the pipes. So I'm just sort of positioning that relative. That's pretty much set to about the right gap, so I'm just going to put a mark on the pipe around here where I want to trim this one down. Then I can pull that back piece out and put these two together, see how it looks. So I'm going to mark it and I'll take it outside and chop a chunk off. Back in a bit. That's the long pipe across the back of the greenhouse cut now. I just need to deburr the end a bit, and I want to just brought like a rasp with me, file a little bit of a bevel around the edge and then deburr it just to make it easier to push the socket together. So I'll do the same, well, on that end is just getting a blanking cap on it. So this one's done. I'm going to assemble this into this for now. I'm not going to attach it to the rest yet, as it'll just be unmanageable, and when I drill the holes in it for the pots I need to be able to sort of lift the sections out. And what I did last time, I stacked a few buckets, empty buckets which I'd had drain holes in, put the end of the pipe in and then just blasted a hose pipe through it so it catches all the swarf and the disc and debris out at one end. So I'll do that again, save it going all onto the soil. So I'll put this one together, then so I shall bring you back shortly. So I've pushed that pipe in there and leave that like that for the time being until I've drilled the pot holes. So I've got a blanking cap that will go on that end. The liquid feed will come in at this end, circulate round. Still need to bevel that a little bit. That socket or that elbow is fully pushed home. That's the pipe that will go across that gap there. And that T-piece will stand up like that. That's the right height. So I'll put a blanking cap on the bottom of that as well. And that'll act like a little sump. So the lift pump will be in the bottom of there. The fill pump will be in the barrel on top of this like pallet bench. And also in that pipe there'll be two float switches. So one will be just above the pump at the bottom, so it cuts the power on the lift pump as the liquid drops down, so it doesn't run dry. And the other float switch will stop the fill pump if it gets to a high enough point where it's completely flooded the tube. So that's the plan anyway, just as a backup, so it doesn't just run itself and overflow everywhere. So that's going to do me for today. Like I say, everything's cut now. I just need that one bevel on the end. I've been planning on using these 3-inch pots, so obviously that's a tomato in there now, same as the ones I use for the strawberries outside, same size pipe. But tomatoes, I'm just wondering if that's going to restrict them a little bit. Now I did buy some 4-inch pots originally, as I was going to use a 160mm pipe, but I've got an offcut of this pipe in the back of my car. I'll dig my hole saws out at home and I'll find the 4-inch pots, and I'm going to see if there's a hole I can drill bigger than 3-inch but not quite 4-inch, that'll allow me to stick the 4-inch pot in, and that'll give a lot more room for the tomato to throw roots out all over the place. They are like heavy drinkers kind of thing, so I'll do that experiment at home and see how it see what I can find. So I did buy a hole saw that was 102mm, which is probably too big. This is 110mm pipe outside, so it's about 102 inside. I'd literally be cutting it level with the inside diameter. So I think I might get away with maybe a 90mm or something like that. 95mm, just a bit smaller, so the pot doesn't drop all the way in. So I'll have a weigh up on that scrap piece of pipe at home. So that's going to do me for tonight. I shall get my tools back in the car, lock everything up, and I will bring you back next time. Cheers now. So I'm back at my allotment, carrying on with the hydroponics build. So I'm going to make the wooden stands first that the pipes are going to sit on. So just going to work out the back of my car. It's a bit easier to bring the wood here and work on it than carry my gear in there where it's still sort of damp and muddy. So this will be the base part for the longest run of pipe. So I'm just going to saw this down and make the bits I need to build this first stand. So bring you back shortly. I stopped to have some lunch. It's, I don't know, 1:30 in the afternoon now. I wish I hadn't. Very hard to motivate myself again now. It's like 95 degrees in the greenhouse Fahrenheit, something like 35, 38 centigrade. So I've been working on my hydroponic thing. I was working out the back of my car at first. Someone at my doorbell. I started cutting the wood. I haven't finished cutting the wood yet, but I realised I'd forgotten the driver bit I needed for the screws I've got. So I kind of cut the main part of the wood and wrapped up, and my allotment neighbour, who only lives half a mile away, I messaged him and just said, "Are you heading down by any chance, and do you have a TX25 bit?" So he's actually dug a bit out and brought it down to loan to me, even though he wasn't coming down today. So it's very kind of him to do that. And I sort of started screwing the first one together. The first wooden frame. I've got another one cut to go along there. So basically it's one long one along the floor, two across above, and I'm going to cut some short pieces just to match them. You know, the pieces you see there left and right on the floor are just offcuts to fill the gap for the moment. Ultimately it'll be sort of sat in these pipe clips. It'll sit a little bit higher again than that would. So got a few of these pipe clips. It's turned into an extremely hot day, and most people have had more sense than me. I think they've stayed at home. There's a few people briefly come down, or dog walkers and things like that. But it is rather blistering. Can't remember if I mentioned earlier that little solar panel fan thing I got. It does work okay when you point the solar panel directly at the sun, but when it deviates from it a little bit, it just loses power. So I think I'll end up rigging that up to work off the other system with I've had a look online. I can get a adjustable sort of temperature controlled switch, reasonably cheap, that'll work with it. So I'll be able to dial it in at say 18-20 degrees. It'll start pumping cool air into the greenhouse. So I won't need it for a few days, but I'll get one of them on order. So the trouble, if you leave the greenhouse door open a bit, is if you've got any rodents or rabbits or anything in there, they can get in. And also if you get a gust of wind, it can blow the panels out, and I've lost a few panels before now. If the door was on the other end, there'd be nothing left in the greenhouse, because the prevailing wind comes from more or less the north. So when you see them planes taking off, they're actually taking off into the prevailing wind. So the wind sort of blows north to south. So if you mount your greenhouse with the door facing north, and first good gust of wind and your doors open a bit, just blows all the glass out. And that's happened to a couple of greenhouses. So something to watch for if you've got a greenhouse somewhere. Put your door opposite to the prevailing wind. So I'm going to carry on with this for a bit longer. My knee's killing me for some reason today, and I did take a turmeric tablet this morning, so I don't know. I'll try and get this other timber support screw together. I might have to call it a day then. We'll see how we get on. So I'll bring you back in a bit. So I dug out one of the 4-inch pots, and I had a mess with that piece of pipe at home. I've not filmed it, but I should be able to get away with using a 4-inch pot if I this pipe is 110 outside, and it's something like 102 I think inside, so it's roughly 4-inch bore more or less. If I drill a 90mm hole, the 4-inch pot will drop in and just sort of touch the sides of the pot at the bottom of the radius, leaving a liquid gap underneath. But I think that'll give the tomatoes a much better chance. Be more room to sort of throw roots out in the pot and closer to the water. So I've got a cutter on order, 90mm cutter, which is coming on Saturday. So that's my plan there. I'll be back. It's a long weekend here in the UK now, what we call a bank holiday weekend. So and I'm having a couple of extra days as well, so I'll be back on well, I'll be back over the weekend to put all the holes in this and try and get the pipe work from this point of view complete. Then I just got to sort out the barrel and the pumps and the electrics. I've got all the bits. I just need to set something up and put my wiring hat on and then see if I can get this thing running. So next time we'll be cutting the holes. So cheers for now, I'll bring you back next time. I decided just in one of the offcuts of pipe I wanted to do a test drill with a hole saw. I think that's absolutely perfect, that. There's a tiny little gap on each side which I can just stick a little bit of like black insulation tape on it or something, stop any bugs creeping in, but more or less a perfect fit, that. Note to self, that was a rookie mistake, because it was a small piece of pipe, it just bit and spun the pipe. When I cut in the drilling the long one, it won't do that because there's obviously more of it. But ended up sliding a piece of wood up the inside and putting my foot on the piece of wood to hold it still. But yeah, that's perfect fit. That'll roots will bellow out round there, and the passing water, that'll feed them no trouble. So I'm happy with that. So carry on for the time being with this, with the main part of the job. But yeah, I'm well pleased with that. Perfect. Right, so it's not fully set home yet. That joint on the right, that joint on the left on the horizontal aren't pushed in yet. That one is fully seated on the left. One on the right's not seated in yet. One on the left is. Both of them are fully seated in. I've still got to cut some small blocks to just go on the underneath of these cross pieces so they match that cross. These other pieces are just temporary to hold it upright. Once the pipes are all fully sat home, I can then position it to sort of equalise the gap from the pipe to the polycarbonate windows. That horizontal might want shortening a little bit, although it does have to seat in at both ends. So no, that'll be all right. Actually, it's going to lose probably about 4 inches, so that'll come away from there. That should be fine. I've got a blanking cap to go on the bottom of there. I've got a push-in cap can go in the top of there. I don't want to seat that fully yet, as I need to drill some holes and sink 2 float switches in yet. The doorbell noise that might appear in the video earlier on was some fibre pots being delivered that are a better fit in there from the ones I was trying yesterday, the 3-inch pots. Couldn't get a 4-inch pot, or I could, but they were mega money. So I've got some that are 80 centimetres, and I'm just going to sort of split them and use 2 to fill the space. I'll show what I do when I do it, so it makes more sense. But getting closer. Time to make a coffee, I think. And I'm not far off wrapping up for the day and going home. It's time is it now? 4:45, would you believe? I've been here since about 20 past 8 this morning. It's been a pretty hot, sticky day. It's still 28 degrees centigrade. I don't know, high 70s Fahrenheit in the greenhouse here, and the window's nearly shut. So we're getting there slowly. So I shall bring you back next time. Cheers now. I'm in my greenhouse at home today. I'm just repotting the tomatoes that I'm going to use in the hydroponics at my allotment. I originally planted them in these 3-inch baskets. I decided to use these 4-inch baskets. You saw me drill the pipe and try one in yesterday. So these plants here I'll be just planting in regular, well, I use like a builder's bucket full of compost in this greenhouse, but these ones will be in the allotment greenhouse. So what I'm doing, like I said, I'm using the 4-inch basket. I'm lining it. I couldn't get these, or not at the price I wanted to pay. They're ridiculously expensive for a 4-inch one of these. I already had a load of 3-inch ones, so I'm just cutting and splitting 2 of them to fill the pot, putting a bit of compost in and transplanting the plants out the 3-inch baskets, and then just putting the gravel that's in them now back around the top as just like a top dressing. That'll also help the compost retain moisture. So I shall carry on and get these all potted up. So that's the 12 plants all potted up in the 4-inch baskets. I've done one sort of switcheroo. I'd got 3 sun gold, 3 plum, 3 beefsteak, and I'd got 3 tigerella. But I've potted one of the tigerella to grow in this greenhouse, so that needs to catch up a bit. And I bought 2 called black cherry, which I was going to grow in this greenhouse, but the greenhouse at the allotment gets a lot better light, so I've put a black cherry in one of the pots there to grow at the allotment. I've got 2 peppers up there which I'll grow up at the allotment, and there's 3 more here. 2 are sweet peppers, one's a snack size, one's a full size, and one's a chili. So I'll say I'll grow them here. I might grow them here, I might just grow them in pots on the bench up there. The other 2 that are already at the allotment I want to try and grow hydroponically if I can. So I'm going to give these another drink. They've already soaked up all the moisture that was left in that tray. I'm going fishing tomorrow hopefully, so it'll be Wednesday before I'm back and I can check them again for watering. But these are definitely just staying in the little plug cells as they were. They had thrown roots out around the clay pebbles, but they were suffering, so hopefully they'll start growing a bit now in this sort of fresh nutrient this fresh compost, which provides a little bit of feed, and that should keep them going so I can get them in the hydroponic at the allotment, where they'll be sort of drinking a nutrient based solution. I'm back at my allotment. It's the last of the few days I've took off vacation. These are my strawberry plants in the hydroponic system I built a few years ago. These certainly these Colossus, the ones that were plug plants, are doing really well. The bare rooted ones seem to be struggling a little bit, in all honesty. So I think like I've done with the tomatoes at home, just waiting for the plane to go past. Don't know if you can see that on camera. Yeah, like I've done with the tomatoes at home, I'm going to I think I'll repot these in with a bit of compost in there. Those 3-inch pots just fit neatly inside these smaller plastic net pots without having to be modified. So that's not a job for today though, it's a job for another day. I have to bring some pots and compost down with me. So today I'm going to carry on and finish the wooden sort of trestles that are holding the system in the greenhouse. So I shall bring you back shortly. That's the sort of first trestle more or less finished. Not the prettiest thing I've ever made, but not bad for just working out the back of your car. It's functional rather than pleasing to the eyes, I guess, but I might bring a sander and just round off all the edges and stuff before I fix the pipe to it permanently. Well, it won't be permanent, but anyway, that's the first one done. I'll do this longer one, and then I'll make up sort of the 2 end little trestles. They're still just 3 blocks stacked on top of each other. So I shall bring you back in a bit. So I've finished off making the wooden stands. I know I said I might bring a sander down and round off edges and that, make them pretty. I may still do that, but in all honesty, it's not a commercial venture. It's allotmenting. It's kind of functional and repurposing. You know, this was pallet wood I've cut down and repurposed, so I'm very tempted just to leave them as they are, perhaps put a bit of wood preserver on, but that's it. I've not pushed them in yet. That joint to the right still needs sending home, and this short piece at the back isn't pushed in at either end yet. I might push it in that end, it'll help me level it up, but I think next step is to bring a spirit level, and I think the floor needs scraping sort of right to left. It looks quite high at the right hand end here, so that'll be my next job, but I'm done for today. So it's about 6:30 at night, yeah, 6:30. So I'm gonna head home and get some food on. Just need to put a can of water through my nutrient solution through the strawberry hydroponic. So I shall bring you back next time. Cheers. So I've finished making the wooden stands I was making. Next step will be to kind of get the pipe as level as I can. I think a lot of the stones need raking right to left. It looks a bit low at this left hand corner, so I'll bring a spirit level with me next time. So it's I'm back at my allotment. I've not got long today. It's early finish for me on a Friday, but I have a medical appointment in a bit, so I brought a spirit level with me. It is a bit high at this right hand end, this one, so I'm going to try and get it level-ish. I'm going to also push this, the one stood up, I'm going to seat properly in the end of that 90 degree or that elbow, so at least then it can rest across the trestle and it'll always be on the right plane, so to speak. I'm not going to push that joint in, the one nearest facing, just yet, because I want to be able to lift it out in sections and sort of blast a hose pipe through it to get any debris out from cutting the holes. But at least I can get it all kind of leveled and matched up. So I'm going to carry on with that and I'll bring you back shortly. So that's the first 6 holes drilled. I might mark out these others before I go. I'll just carry on Sunday. These obviously need deburring. Then all the sort of plastic whiskers just need rinsing through. So I've done 2 close together there, so that'll allow me to put 1 or 2 cucumbers side by side. Usually I grow like a full-size one and a mini one, so I can always, the discs that I've cut out, a bit of duct tape over them, whatever. You also can blank them up, any that you're not using as well, stop bugs and that going in, so I'll save them. I say that just needs deburring, and then so I get 4 plants along there. That's like 6 foot, 8 foot across the back, so I'm hoping, well, certainly get 5 if not 6 across the back, and maybe a couple in the end piece behind the chair there. That's more or less level now, so I'm going to need to lower that piece of pipe on. In fact, I won't need to lower it because it'll stand up a bit higher on the pipe clips, so I probably need to actually just put pipe clips in at some point, and that'll set the final level, so I won't alter that pipe yet. Tell you what, I don't know where you are in the world, but it's 102 degrees in the greenhouse, Fahrenheit 40 centigrade, so I definitely need that cooling fan or something over here blowing in, get some circulation going. So I've still not decided how I'm going to mount that one I got. I might use that somewhere else and get a slightly bigger one. Again, nothing's decided yet. So I'm going to have a slurp on my coffee for a minute, and then I'm going to have to water the rest of the garden before I go. So I shall bring you back next time. Cheers. Good morning, welcome back to the channel. I'm back at my allotment Sunday morning. A little bit later than I wanted to get here, but there's a thunderstorm coming in later today. But I should be long gone by then anyway. So I brought a different tool with me today, like a inline die grinder. That's a bristle brush but with abrasive in it, and I've just done the first 3 holes there. It's done a cracking job of just deburring all the flakes and whiskers from drilling the pipe. I've only done the first 3, so I'll do all the holes with this, deburr them all, and then I'll wash the pipes out and push it together. So I'm going to mark out the remaining pipes and get them holes drilled, so when I leave today, the horizontal pipes should certainly be done. I won't have done the sump bit, when I'll take that home and drill it and fit the float switches and everything at home. But I've brought 2, I've not got them in the greenhouse when we go outside. I brought a couple of like rubber end caps that go on the outsides, press over. So I'm going to blank both ends today, and then I'll be bringing some of the plants with me tomorrow to put in it. And even if I just have to, each time I call most evenings after work, so until it's actually automated, all I need to do is just sort of lift one plant out and put a watering can of solution in, and the plants will sort of drink that up themselves each day, and then I can sort the barrel out. And I was thinking, driving here, the barrel obviously is blue, and blue is the kind of colour you use for burying water systems. Black is the colour you need for when it's in sunlight. So as I don't have a black barrel, it's a blue barrel, I'm thinking I might knock up a little wooden surround or something that'll just keep it dark, because when sunlight hits the water, or let me rephrase, when sunlight penetrates that blue, it'll cause algae to form in the water, which we don't really want. Although some algae in the water can be beneficial, it adds nitrogen and stuff at times, but we're better off keeping it sort of sludge free, algae free. So if nothing else, I can wrap it in sort of black plastic, but I think a wooden sort of box around it will also help insulate it a bit from the heat. Wood is a brilliant insulator. So but that's obviously not a job for today, so I shall crack on with this, and I'll bring you back in a bit. So I've marked out and just drilled the pilot holes. I want to put 12 plants in here, tomato plants, so got 4 there, 6 along the back, 2 there. That works out roughly 340mm centres for what I've done there, give or take a couple of mil. So I'll open all them out now with the hole saw. So that's now all the holes drilled, and I've deburred them all. So I'm going to carry it over to the tap. I've got 2 buckets there with some holes drilled in the bottom, which is what I used to grow my tomatoes in. I'm going to use them as a filter really, put the end of the pipe in the bucket and blast some water down the inside to wash all the plastic bits out, and then I'll be collecting them all in the bucket there, so they're not going into the plants around by the tap. So I shall do the first one, bring you back shortly. So that's got the pipe clips on now. In fact, I still need 2 screws for that one. The pipe clips are on, so it's elevated a bit higher. All the joints are pushed in now, so that's more or less finished position. It's parallel-ish with the sides. And having that extra height there, the T-piece, or the sump one, is a more or less perfect height fit now. So I'll take that home and drill it and mount the float switches and stuff. So I've rinsed it out, like I say, pushed it all together. So I want to just temporarily put another one of the rubber end caps, which is one of those, on this end. And tomorrow I'll probably bring some plants with me and stick some plants in it, and I can just pour some liquid in with a watering can for the time being, level with the base of the pots on the inside, so that way it can just wick up and take what it needs, and the plants can be down here then and in the light, nice and growing better than they are doing at home. I mean, this one's torn away, that tomato, so I need to probably take that tomato and the cucumber and the other cucumber home and repot them into the 4-inch baskets, net baskets. They're in 3-inch ones just now. So I've had a spirit level on. It's reasonably level enough for what it's going to do. It'll obviously settle as the stones move a bit, and it has a bit of weight in it then from the pots and the plants, etc. But for what it's going to do and the way it'll wick up, that'll be fine. So I shall carry on. I'll bring you back in a bit. So I brought all my plants from home. I've pushed them in the slots. There's 2 cucumbers and there are 12 tomato plants. They're not looking too happy actually at the minute, some of them. Sort of rattling around in my car all day, or at least driving to and from work. So I put them in. Obviously I've not got it plumbed in fully automated yet. It's a sort of manual watering. So I filled that green watering can with just a mild solution of some tomato liquid, soluble tomato feed for the time being. I do have a proper mix of like nutrient solution. You've got to kind of mix it together and put it in the barrel. I'll sort that out, but for now this will be fine. One of them 1 gallon, 5-ish litres, is it 5.5 litres to a gallon? I can't remember, or 4.55 to a gallon. Anyway, one of them full of that has literally put 3/4 to an inch of water in the bottom of the pipe all the way around. There's no drips or anything, so it's holding, and the very bottoms of the pots are just sat in it with you can just see it in the bottom there, the wicks. So hopefully within a couple of days they should have all gone to a nice deep green colour and be doing well. The temperature has dropped a little bit today, and the thunderstorms that were due yesterday never really quite materialised in my area, but I think we're set for a wet evening with rain. It's raining now intermittently. The 2 that are the tallest, I've just put strings up for the time being till I think of something better. I can also just untie them and lower the string a bit if I need to, just let them bend a bit at the bottom to sort of grow a longer top section. That commercial people do literally grow them 20 odd foot tall effectively and just keep folding the bottom, or commercial hydroponics when they're in like a rock wool tablet in a tray of solution. They just literally carefully fold as they pick all the fruit as indeterminate ripened fruit from the bottom up usually, so they just sort of fold the stalks over at the bottom so the plant keeps growing at the top. Now what I might do when I get the cutter I used last time for the 3-inch pots was a bit big really, so I might get a cutter and just put a smaller hole in these 2 corners and put the peppers in, or the pepper and the chilli in a round pot. If I try and drill one of them big holes in the corners, I think it'll take all the strength out of the corner. So may do that, may just grow the chilies in a bigger pot on the bench, because they will grow hydroponically, but they're not as thirsty as tomatoes are. So next stage for this anyway is try and set the barrel up, and the electronics, I'll find a bit of a board of wood and set the electronics up, and I shall bring you back next time. Cheers now. So this is from the other day. I put 1 watering can of liquid in the bottom of the pipe with some like tomato fertilizer nutrients dissolvable powder in it, for want of a better description. I've not had to add any more yet. There's still water in the bottom of the pipe. Them cucumbers seem to be doing really well. There's 2 of them, or there's actually 3, nearly 4 with flowers open. That tomato's grown a couple of inches. I think this one has as well. It's stood up again. Leaves have gone dark green, and the tops of some of these others have started going to a more healthy shade of green. So I'd say they're just able to wick up that liquid through them wicks, and obviously the fibre pot that's around the outside helps absorb the moisture then into the compost mix. So I think that's working. and I'd say one or two of these others have actually started growing as well. So hopefully by the end of the week we'll see a noticeable difference. I ordered a waterproof cabinet. I decided rather than just mount the electrics on a lump of wood in here, if the roof blew off or anything they could end up getting wet. So I've got a waterproof cabinet due at the weekend, so I'll put the electronics inside a waterproof enclosure. So hopefully pretty soon I should have the system up and running. So that's it for now. It's certainly growing, so be interesting to see how sort of thick and how decent the stems grow on these plants. They're all indeterminate, so I know there's various views on this. Let side shoots grow, don't nip them out, suckers some people call them. On an indeterminate plant I nip the side shoots out or the suckers, because I was always taught if you let them grow low down it just becomes a bush, and the fruit is fighting for who's getting the nutrients kind of thing. So if you keep a central stem and let your trusses form on the stem, then you get your staged fruit ripening in turn as it kind of goes up the stem, and you should have picked all your lower fruit before the upper fruit's still, while it's still ripening kind of thing. And obviously you can just lean them over or fold the stems a little bit gently to allow the plant to keep growing upwards. So that's my view. I mean, you guys, treat them how you like. Like I say, when you look on YouTube, there's don't do this or nip them out. So you've got to make your own choice up. Do you want to grow them like a bush, so you have very little top growth and just wide massive growth, or you grow a single sort of stem and just have the trusses off the stems? So I shall bring you back next time when I've got some sort of electronics on the go, or I'm building the cabinet. I'm at a sort of standstill now till I've got all the bits and I can mount the solar panel and stuff like that. So I'll just be sort of manually adding water into the pipe as it needs it for the time being, but hopefully be able to carry on soon. So thanks for watching so far. Cheers now.